where do you think the ANC is going to land up if you were to take a range, right, of where you think they're going to fall percentage-wise? What do you think? What is the state of our opposition parties? These are the things I really want to know from you, Mike. Like, where do you think the ANC lands in a range when it comes to the 2024 election?
Well, Mark, there's a academic down in the Eastern Cape that I've become very good friends with, Dr. Ngama Mtinka. He's been on my show, a real deep thinker, a fantastic guy, a guy who really understands the South African picture situation. And we were going backwards and forwards recently, and we were sort of saying, I said, the Eastern Cape has become South Africa's Zimbabwe. Everybody keeps on voting for the ANC, but then they can't get a job in the Eastern Cape, so they go work in the Western Cape or in Gauteng, and then they go back to the Eastern Cape and vote for the ANC. But they can't live there because the ANC runs it so badly. So they, and it's exactly what you got with Zimbabweans. They go back to Zim, vote for ZANU, come back to South Africa because they can't live in Zim. And he sort of like was quick to call me out on that in a sort of in a banter kind of way by saying, understand how much those people's lived experience has moved. Right? It's moved from a rural backwater, in most cases, to now they have a house, they have running water, they have electricity. Admittedly, when these things work, but they have it. Yes. Now, it may sound like I'm touting for the party. I'm not at all. I'm saying that when you have a tap that runs half the day, is a big step up from when you didn't have the tap.
Yes.
And, sometimes people in our circles don't understand what that really means and how much loyalty that buys you, right? And I'll go as far as to say that there's a certain age group within black South Africa where the ANC made such a difference to their lives. They never, understandably and quite fairly, will vote for the ANC regardless of how bad they become, right? The thing that you got to marvel at is the number of people that are prepared to at least not vote for the ANC, whether they stay at home or vote for the opposition party. Given the liberation dividend, given the physical dividend of connecting people to grids, etc., be they water, electricity, roads, etc., despite the fact that they've done a poor job at it, it's a big, big thing, right, in people's lives. So, he was saying, understand, goes back to the argument about the Eastern Cape, understand that to those people, that's why they keep voting for the ANC, even though we know, and we can state categorically, they've been a shit government. They could do a much better job, right? They're going to keep that loyalty. So he was saying, look, the ANC's vote has diminished every election since 2009 in the Eastern Cape. But they still might carry the Eastern Cape.
Yeah. So if I were to pin you for a percentage range that you think the ANC gets in the general election 2024?
I think they're heading to the mid-40s, right? I think that would be the best case scenario. Look, to me, there's always one golden yardstick, and that is, unless they've done something that's been particularly good, which they failed to do. They think they've done something, but they failed to do it. They're never going to get higher. I'm talking about the ANC now. They're never going to get higher than they did in the previous election.
Yes.
Be that the general election or the local government election, because generally in South Africa, people vote the same for general elections or local government elections. I mean, in time, our voting will get a little more nuanced, where we might give the vote to this person for that job or this. Roughly speaking, you're a dyed-in-the-wool XYZ party supporter, and you vote for them regardless. So in the last local government election, they got 46%. Right? And since then, has there been any improvement? They might get a slight bump because of some people found their action in the International Court of Justice case against Israel as being a good thing. But then it's undermined by the fact that, load shedding continues and and the ports don't work and the trains don't run. So you've got to say that to my mind, they almost ratchet downwards because
Yeah.
they're incapable of improving what they're doing. And in actual fact, we, in an interesting situation in South Africa, and this is of their own making, and that is that I think that South Africans are incapable of seeing anything that they do right. And that's even worse, right? So if they do happen to go and fix a road, let's use that as an example, we would all immediately go to the road next door and say, but look how shit that road is.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that when you've done such a bad job, as they have done, people will not see the good work. So I'm saying that they're only going to ratchet down. I do think that they're going to get around the 45% mark.